Here we go. It's that time of the evening when you think for a moment you've come to a bingo hall, and we're about to get our eyes down, aren't we, Kyle, for a full house. Thanks very much for coming. Firstly, I should know how to use a mic. Firstly, apologies that this is so close to Christmas, but it's one of those things. Because of other calendar events, we couldn't find any other date other than this one. So obviously we're a bit thin on the ground tonight, a bit thinner than we have been by some considerable amount recently. We've also got the attraction of the Feltham Community Choir, which if it wasn't for this, I would be over the hill. Well, I'm over the hill anyway, some people say, but I'd be over there watching and listening to the wonderful choir. But if we do have time later, Kyle's agreed to give me a piggyback over the station bridge, because I'll be exhausted by then. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're going to start off with apologies for absence. I'm looking round the table. And are there any apologies, members of the members, in fact? We have no apologies. That's excellent. Thank you very much. A full house. Thank you, Gina. There you are on a bingo theme, you see. In comedy, they call that, topping and tailing. Hina will nod them up, I'll chip them in. Right, okay, our next item is the minutes of the meeting and any matters that may arise from it. So I'll ask members that have the minutes in front of them, if we may look at starting at page 7, whether it's a true record. Page 7, turning to page 8, page 9. Sorry, was that a comment or someone behind the screen there? Page 10. And page 11, indeed. Page 12 on the very back. It's all been checked. I think it's fine. Do we accept that as a true record, members? Yeah? Is that agreed?
Yes.
Thank you, members. That's agreed. We now come to announcements. We're already on item number 3. We might make the concert. Announcements. Members, if you have any announcements, I'd like to kick off with one or two myself. Firstly, people will be interested to know about the community cabin, which we've talked about appearing on Feltham Green in the future. The wonderful work of Joyce Hipp, one of our senior officers, and the work she's done with the community, Friends of Feltham Green and many others. We are in a stage now where we finally have a contract which will start in February for the actual. We have the design papers, and the contract will start in February as to the actual construction and design of this. And we hope to have it completed by July. So that will be a community cabin in Feltham Town Centre for community events, for hire. Wonderful. And some of the I know there's people from the history group here, hello Tony, and others, think of Feltham's rich history and how much we can share that with people when they come to our town, not just to stay in the hotel, to then go to the airport, because Feltham has a rich history which must be told. Yeah? It's an opening line in The Woman in Black, isn't it? The story must be told, says he who's done it. So, yeah, I'm very pleased about that. I'm also very pleased, as are councillors Asim and Mir, that we were able, with the friends over there from our transport team, to finally get over the line the railway alley which links Highfields to Westmacott, the underpass. 8 years I've been working on it, and I'm pleased that we as members had support of previous officers, and now, as you may have noticed, that alleyway has been cleared and it will be adopted by the council, resurfaced and lit, and that is a huge achievement and is going to secure a safe and secure mode of transport, lit, linking Westmacott, Grosvenor Park, Highfields and our town centre for years to come. And again, we're hoping that's going to be completed in the early spring, I believe. Oh, he's eating his curry. I thought he was going to say something. So that's wonderful, great news. I attended the Feltham Choral Society Christmas concert last Saturday, and it was absolutely wonderful at St Dunstan's, the Reverend Anne Dollery's church. Real credit to our town. Wonderful music, wonderful choir, and a wonderful pianist and organist who was supporting the event. And of course tonight we have the Feltham Community Choir at Reach. You'll probably be able to catch the end of it if you hurry. I think these guys will make it. Members, do we have any other announcements at this festive time? Councillor Ragwinder Sidhu.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I attended Winter Nights Carnival on 9th of November when we had children from both the schools. We walked through the high streets and with lovely lanterns and amazing atmosphere, and really communities gathered together, and it was good fun.
Thank you, Ragwinder. Yes, I did pass through that. Isn't it wonderful, the Lantern Parade and the Stilt Walk is one of those little highlights each year. So anyone who saw it, wasn't it wonderful? And isn't it great? Another thing, tell your friends about these things. You know, people run our town down. It doesn't need to be run down, does it? These are great things. We're building it up. Any others, members? Any other announcements? Okay, right. In which case we will move on to the next item, which I believe is item number 4 on the official agenda. A presentation by the young people from the Feltham Convening Partnership, FCP, who are regular visitors, regular friends. I had the pleasure of attending their original presentation at the library a month or two back. And very impressive it was too, and May is here with us. So May, what I'm going to do is hand over to you and the young people, because I believe you have some slides to show us and to talk us through that we can consider. Thank you.
Hello, Chair.
Can we close the door, possibly? Yeah.
Good evening, councillors. My name is Sarah and I'm a member of Reach Citizens and the Feltham Convening Partnership. Today we're also joined by members of FCP's Young Researchers Group.
And I'm Evie. We're pleased to be back at the West Area Forum tonight because we have been listening to the local community and are keen to share our findings with you.
Last month on November 2nd at the West Area Forum Last month on November 2nd we hosted a meeting for the Feltham Convening Partnership to discuss the issues of antisocial behaviour. The team meeting took place in the hub space next to Feltham Library and we had over 40 partners turn up despite Storm Kieran.
As you can see, we had a huge range of different partners in the room: local parents, young people, teachers, faith groups, mental health charities, outreach workers and local authority services.
And we were really pleased that Councillor Mitchell joined the meeting too.
We spent a lot of time in groups discussing what everyone thinks the key drivers for antisocial behaviour in Feltham are, and we also asked them to complete a short questionnaire on this issue.
The first question we asked was, what words would you use to describe young people in Feltham? The responses were wide-ranging and varied, but some of the words that stood out to us were misunderstood, disadvantaged and bored, as these definitely resonate with our own feelings.
The second question we asked was, how often do you witness antisocial behaviour in Feltham? We were not surprised by the high number of people who said regularly or every day, but it's sad to think that this is the reality for people in our community.
Finally, the last question we asked was, what do you think are some of the main drives of antisocial behaviour in Feltham? We have selected just a few of the 40 and more responses for you to look at. 70% of partners identified the lack of things for young people to do and places for them to go in Feltham as the main driver of antisocial behaviour, with 24% of those specifically citing boredom as an issue.
Other reasons include a lack of mental health support, financial pressures, and lack of affordable activities, lack of investment in or care for the community, and a lack of positive role models.
Earlier this week, we had another Feltham Convening Partnership meeting, this time hosted at Hounslow House by the Council's Public Health team, with the focus on a systems change approach to healthy eating, because Hounslow has the 4th highest levels of adult obesity in London, and levels of obesity in primary age children are above the national and London average. Over 50 community member partners showed up, and once again the issue of safety was raised by every single group as a significant factor preventing children, young people and their families from making healthy choices.
As you are well aware by now, we strongly believe building a youth zone in Feltham would help address many of these issues. So, once again, we would like to ask the councillors if they publicly support the funding of a youth zone here in our community, and if not, what are you planning to do to address these issues?
I think a round of applause, very nicely put by our young people. Again, I have to say, folks, young people generally get a bit of a bad press, don't they? And when you say Feltham and young people, people think of some of the issues we've had in and around the town centre in recent times. But I think we've seen an example of where the majority actually lies. And again, we should speak up for our young people. I work with them in my day job, and I'm very proud of what they do in what are very difficult times. So thank you for that and for putting that as cogently as you did. There's two issues here as I see it. One is antisocial behaviour as it affects all of us and as is practised by individuals, be they adults or young people. And then the corollary, what do we do for young people going into the future so that they have something positive to connect to, so that they don't end up going down the tracks that some people do. Now, there's a few things I've got here from the community safety team, which I'd like to just highlight a few. This is in terms of what we're doing overall in terms of ASB. It obviously covers young people, but it covers the whole thing. In Feltham West, which is myself and Medea and Hina's ward, which covers the town centre and the shops, we were very concerned in the summer as to what could happen come the summer holidays due to what had happened with a lot of the antisocial behaviour going on in and around Greg's, the shops, the kids on bikes, not Lime bikes at that stage, other bikes. And so with the wonderful work that Editor, who's sitting at the back there, our community safety officer, we managed to secure £2,000 for 78 hours of overtime and 26 days between October and November. And previous to that, extra patrols during the school summer holidays, so that the problems that had happened in June and July didn't happen in August. And that was a great success, and that was partnership working with the police and our community safety team. But over and beyond that, various pockets of money. £3,500 by loaning 2 officers for 8 hours and 14 days. These are at pinch point times. We now have area-based meetings held by our teams that are strongly focused on the High Street area. We have private organisations, housing associations, and the managing agents of the town centre blocks attending as well. We do monthly visits to the businesses, which Editor is leading on. This is all really crucial work, and the police have said this evening to me that the incidence of ASB in terms of theft from Sports Direct, for example, has gone down considerably in the last quarter. And similarly with Greg's, where I think in the last 2 weeks they didn't report a single theft of a single cheese sandwich, which, thank you, Elliot, bless you, right on cue. So there's a lot of good stuff going on there. But of course this does dovetail into our young people, and here are our young people. I'm on record as a Feltham councillor supporting extended provision for young people in this town, and I'm rather supportive of a Hounslow substantive youth investment in Feltham, where I believe historically it would be absolutely correct to do it. But this is a complicated issue. This is about budgets, and that's why there's a review going on which has been undertaken to review the whole of Hounslow's need in this area. If we have this need, then let's make a proper examination of it, so that in Heston, so that in Brentford, in Chiswick, in Hounslow, we know exactly what's happening there too. And then we can make the case to say it's easy to get on a bus and train and come up here and join us. So that's where we are at the moment. I do have here some comments from the the Director of Children's Services, Stephen Forbes, who I think many of you have met. Have you met Stephen ever before? One or two nodding heads. He was an outstanding senior officer we have in the council. And he talks about the Independent Living Programme Board and a youth offer, and the future remit and direction of the Independent Living Board, which would include, beyond its initial scoping, and that's it, there's not an agreed timeline. I think some of you were looking for a timeline tonight. However, the youth offer is a key review that we're committed to undertaking, and it's Stephen's intention to kick this off in the first quarter of 2024, if not the second. And as he said in his communication in September, this is in its early stage, but we'll cover the aspects of the view from Feltham and Reach in the youth zone, as this will be included in consideration of the wider youth offer, youth activity, which I described earlier. And the Independent Living Board, it all fits into this. So I think that's quite positive. And members around this table, I know, will keep at this, and we will do the joined up dots so that you do have a response. You're all nodding there sagely. You know, I really care about young people. And Lily, would you like to come in and say a little something here? I'm pretty sure you've got your hand up. We're fortunate to have Lily as the lead member on the council side, members' side for children. Maybe you can add something, Lily. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'll just add to what you said, actually. Oh, there's a horrible echo. I'll move back. So firstly, can I just say thank you to the young people for attending. I think it makes it a lot more exciting when we have more younger people here, and I hope you continue to come, so I really appreciate that. So I was just looking at some of the stuff that you put on there, you know, and it sounds familiar, you know, boredom, etc. I think these are the similar things to what I was saying when I was young, many, many years ago. I think you... So I recognise some of the, you know, feedback that we're getting from young people. I just wanted to say, in terms of the antisocial behaviour, I think it's important to point out that the council has a fund called the Thriving Community Fund, and it has earmarked 320,000 for sort of initiatives to combat antisocial behaviour and working with young people, and around £60,000 of that budget is actually earmarked for this area. So I think that reflects that there is a big commitment in terms to reducing antisocial behaviour and working with young people, and that £60,000 is specifically for this for the area in the West. So that was the first thing I wanted to say. I then also wanted to say that, and I think the chair touched on this, I think at the last meeting it was that we told you that the council were going to carry out a youth review of the services that it commissions, because the council does commission some youth services for all young people in the borough. It's looking at what they commission and whether they need to add to that or commission different things. And within that review, it'll give the council an opportunity to look at widely across the piece, and also that will mean consulting. And I think I said last week it would be good if they started perhaps prioritising this area, because obviously you're interested and we've already got engagement here, so perhaps they could start off here. I can't promise that, but that's something that we can definitely ask them to look at. That is going to take place. It is happening. There is an exercise which is really looking at how it's called a scoping exercise, and it's really working out how they'll begin the review and what it will entail. So I'm hoping that it will start and finish by the next quarter, April, but I don't know. I don't want to give you any dates as such, but it is definitely happening. That's our commitment. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that in October, the Cabinet agreed with the Children and Young People's Plan, which is our corporate plan, is our ambition for young people in the borough. And that plan was produced, it was produced and with young people who were consulted in 2022. I think over nearly 3,000 young people were consulted and their feedback helped to produce the plan. And that plan is our priorities and our ambitions for young people in this borough. Now, I don't know whether any of you have actually seen it. So what I would suggest is that I'd like to invite, if the chair is happy with it, to invite Stephen Forbes or somebody from his team to come and talk to you about the plan so that you can feed into it. It isn't a plan that just is produced and sits there. It's an ongoing plan, so you can feed into it at any time. And I was quite keen that we have that it's a document that's ongoing, so anything that you say you'll be able to feed to it. But I do hope that you will go online and have a look at it, because that's really important, because the plan is split up into the corporate priorities of the council. So for example, feeling a greener council, a safer council, a healthier council, and what that means for young people. And there's priorities, and of course there's a sort of business plan behind all of that. So I think that will give you a bit of a flavour of what young people were saying across the borough and what the council's doing as a result of that. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lily. Did you say invite Stephen to this forum or separately?
This forum, if that's okay?
Yeah? Yes, I think that would be one step up from where we are at the moment. Stephen Forbes is first-class officer, and I want to put some traction behind this process, so that's my commitment to you. Can I just add that this administration, this Labour administration, had a pledge to invest approximately £15 million in community safety during this term, and just to highlight one or two of those things, in the 23-24 year, the financial year that we're currently in, we're close to £9 million on expenditure across the piece, across the borough, and £3 million capital expenditure on housing estates, CCTV and lighting. There are one or two aspects that do fit in with youth: the No Shame in Running programme, workshops and sessions, young people, community engagement. Nearly £35,000 has been spent on that. That's been excellent. And also Perfectly Imperfect. There he is at the back. Give us a wave, Darren. There he is. Good man. Rise and Shine, Perfectly Imperfect. The work they've done on Feltham High Street, outreach on the High Street, supporting the local youth club and coffee mornings to support the parents. There's been some considerable monies invested in that. That will continue. These are all things that happen, but they shouldn't happen in isolation. They should be brought together, because the way you actually deal with these things in the long term is by joined up thinking, I believe, and I think most of us believe. So with that as a backdrop, I think we know the direction of travel we need to be. Members, are there any comments from you, from what you heard from our friends here this evening? Any comments you want to make, any supportive comments, or just the fact that they've come here when they should be enjoying themselves a week before Christmas, rather than standing in a 1960s hall? Any comments, members? There you are. They were blown away. They were absolutely blown away. Okay, you've heard my commitment to you. You've heard what Councillor Bath said. Please keep coming, and we will bring Stephen to the forum, Stephen Forbes. Oh, there's something else. Is there something else?
Yeah, there is. I would like to know if all of you publicly support a youth zone in Feltham, and if not, why?
That's a question which you're throwing in at the end. You know my position. I support an enhanced youth provision in this town, and if that is Hounslow's major provision, then I would support it being in Feltham, but it's part of the process, as I've already said, as Lily's explained. So put that way, it's rather difficult to say, but for me, yes, I would like to see that provision here. Would anyone else like to say anything on that? Okay. Councillor Rasim.
Thank you, Chair. I completely second what Councillor Mitchell has said. As a councillor in the Feltham West area, we see the deprivation, low aspiration firsthand. So I think it's something that would benefit that area of the borough. So yeah, I second what Councillor Mitchell said.
Lily Bath.
Thank you. I support youth facilities and youth provision for young people, absolutely, without a commitment. Whatever that looks like is I'm not entirely sure. So I think, you know, the idea is that the idea of the youth review is to try and find out more about what the gaps, what gaps are found, I suppose, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Councillor Ragwinder Sidhu, and you do a lot up at Bedfont Schools, of course.
Thank you, Chair. So I echo what Lily is saying. We have to do the assessment, so how the council assets are used in the best possible way. Yes, youth zone is one of the things which will be considered, but like we have to look into in totality of how assets are divided and how third partners who want to engage with the council, what the relationships are, and how we move forward. It has to be assessed in a corporate plan. And it's not easy for me to say yes, but like, as I say, I support your project, but it has to be weighed with the whole corporate council plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ragwinder. That's a very cogently put statement. I didn't want to have to make that statement. You know, I don't want to be the one that has to make it look just like that, but thank you for doing it, Ragwinder. Guys, you are a credit to Reach, you're a credit to the town, you're a credit to yourselves, and to all of us in here tonight. So, May, thank you so much for bringing them along again. Guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Kyle's the tallest on the end. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful Christmas. Please give them another round of applause. This is our future. They're going to be paying our pensions in years to come. Okay. As the young people probably depart for the Feltham Community Choir, I've just got a couple of things I missed from the matters arising from minutes. There's 2 little brief statements I'd like to make for those that are staying. One was regarding the asset strategy and community hubs review. Following Cabinet this summer, the team have undertaken extensive engagement with residents and the community to understand the views of residents and stakeholders' needs and wants in relation to assets, buildings like this, like Bedfont Lane Community, like FCDA at Belvedere House. Alongside this work, we're undertaking further surveys and investigation of our assets to ensure we have a comprehensive data set in relation to each asset to determine its future use. This asset strategy and action plan is going to the Cabinet in the spring of 2024. Now, we know it's roughly a year late, and people have come to this forum and moaned about that in the past, and they're quite right to. But we've decided, because we've introduced our Community Hubs programme and the family hubs over at Alf Kings, let's use that opportunity to not only roll that out, but have a proper look at how we're using our community buildings and how we can get the best out of them, and make those services and what we do here in the town as local as possible, so you don't have to go too far to get what you need, yeah? Be that advice on council services, be that health services, antenatal services, be it youth services, be it something to do on a Tuesday night. So that's why we're doing it, and that's why we're going to do it right, and that will be coming out in the spring. We've had the Feltham Pathfinder, which I know Elliot's been involved in. It's been hugely successful. This particular building is a community hub. I was in the library earlier, Feltham Library, and they were up there in the conference room. And there were a lot of people in there getting a lot of good advice. They'd worked with Citizens Advice Bureau in the morning, and then in the afternoon, there they were with a lot of those people that actually come through there. That was this plan in action, and it was working well. I could see smiling people in there that weren't smiling when they first came in. They were getting what they needed. I think that's vital. The other one was the ULEZ fleet update. I believe we had a question from an earlier forum, and I can tell you this, that Come the end of January, all of the vehicles in the Lambton Group, owned by LBH, leased or hired, will be ULEZ compliant, apart from one vehicle. And if we find it, we'll deal with it, folks. So we have a residential fleet of 216 ULEZ compliant vehicles. Green Space has 38 ULEZ compliant vehicles. And we have 48 HGVs and 7 light commercials ULEZ compliant. How wonderful is that? So the council is certainly sticking to its ecological guns on this. We know that overall it's controversial in some of the ways it was rolled out, but since, of course, it's been greatly expanded, the schemes where people can get support. Anyone can get support. So that's where we are. Thanks very much indeed for that. So we're now going to move on to, what's the next item? I've got it as 4, it's 5. It's open forum. So this is the stage where people in the audience can ask questions. Emily is already on her feet. There she is, look. She has the microphone in her hand. It's like being in one of those game shows, folks, isn't it, in a television studio where... And there's a hand up at the front. Sir.
Just one?
We generally just ask one per person. Yes, could you give us your name, sir,
Vineet.
and where you're from?
Vineet Kumar. Vineet? All right. So I know you people talked about antisocial behavior. So can you publish your plan on the website? What are you doing, when you say you're spending so much money on tackling whatever, right? So that's not my question, but whatever plan you've got, just publish it probably on your website so that people will know what's happening, right? Where the money is going and what actions are being taken by the council, right? I know in recent years in Feltham, there's so many high-rise buildings came up, right? Have you thought about putting, let's say, a pharmacy and schools and GPs based on the number of population, number of building you're kind of allowing it to grow or population to grow, right?
Okay, Billy, yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'll make a few comments on that, then I'll bring in members. When we make these plans and we have a housing crisis, we want to build up our community, yet also with the infrastructure. There is infrastructure and there will be increased infrastructure, be that pharmacies, school places or others. It's axiomatic, it has to happen. Otherwise, where would people go? I have conversations all the time with town centre management about sensible use of their multi-storey car park, which is half the time it's empty. And if we do have approximately a third to half of people with a vehicle in the new flats who can't join the CBZ scheme, where do their cars go? Well, let's have a sensible conversation with them and not be a competitor as a council with a private operator like Aviva, who own Feltham Town Centre, but let's do some partnership working to make things work. So yes, these things do happen, and they are happening, and they're constantly reviewed by Tom Bruce's team, isn't it? It's under his remit at the moment. So I'll bring in Ragwinder Sidhu, who has a contribution to make there.
Thank you, Chair. So I just want to, yes, I agree with the Chair. Whenever the planning application comes before the planning committee, we have a report, detailed report about the area, about how this planning will affect, how these flats will affect in future. So the plans are for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how the communities grows.
And can I just to back up what Ragwinder's saying, it also comes with. You want Ragwinder to repeat what he said? Okay, Ragwinder, could you elucidate, please?
Sorry. Yes, Chair. Whenever the planning application comes before a planning committee, all the reports are there. So how these new development affects in coming years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how much population will come in those flats, how many children will come in, and we have enough school places, and on that basis the planning applications are looked forward.
Okay, yeah, Lily Bath.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same actually. So apologies, we're all repeating ourselves. But yeah, when something comes to planning, there is a detailed report giving information about what the requirements are as a result of this particular development. And I often get, you're shaking your head, but it does happen. There is calculations being done. For example, I would want to know as lead member for with education in my area of responsibility what the potential need for school places might be, and all of that does take place. It's called school place planning, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes to project what could be the potential need for school places. And Councillor Sidhu is absolutely right. There is actually a fall in the school pupil roll because there is.
Can you let Councillor Bath finish, please? I can bring you in
There's nothing
separately.
more to add that, but that's what we have to look at the evidence, and that's what the evidence shows us.
And I would add to that all of these developments comes with community infrastructure levy, monies that developers have to pay, considerable sums of money, and several millions of those have already been spent in Feltham, on the town centre, on Feltham Glebens, on the park here, and it's ongoing. SIL, yeah, community infrastructure levy, what used to be section 106. If you've got a separate question, I'll pass you the mic. Is that okay, sir? I'm passing to him now. This gentleman.
Yeah. Just wanted to continue from him.
Could you say your name and where you're from,
Sorry.
sir?
My name is Manish Kumar, and I'm from Rochester Avenue. One of your favorite place, and a lot of your friends are still there looking for you. Yeah. So just to put a stop on what he has said, all the assessment and all the things that you have said is very good. Is that something available for the general public to see? What assessments were done? How many, whatever your analysis and statistics are there, is that something available for the general public? It's not my question, I just wanted to.
In terms to scrutinise where we actually are, or how much money has been spent, it's a rolling programme.
Not the money. Money is not the problem.
You people talking money, right? Just we want to see the accent, right?
Yes, okay, yeah, no, it's all right. I'm just taking this gentleman. Ragwinder, if you could pick up his point. Thank you.
Every planning application, before it comes to the committee, is published online.
Okay.
And all detailed officers' input are put in that. Okay. Like traffic give the input, like sewage, Thames Water given input, school given input. Every input is online before it comes to the committee.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's his point. Now, my first
One follow-up. Follow-up.
Before that, sorry, I would like to comment on your work, 3 works which you have done, and I'm really happy. First of all, looking after Rochester Avenue. People have started cleaning the streets. It was not happening before. People would come and clean all the places except for Rochester Avenue. So me, my friends, neighbors, visiting, they are going to clean the stuff. It's happening. Thank you so much for doing that. The park, it has got the new path. People are using it. We are very pleased. Thank you so much for that. And the link, the Padso Walk underpass, we're linking to Asda. Thank you so much for getting that done, because it will save me from falling down in future. I have raised, for 5-7 years, I have raised it several times. My last concern raised in October to get the things clean because people were getting scratches. It is coming into fruition. So thank you so much for getting those things done.
And thank you very much for making those comments. That's exactly why.
Now, my first concern, maybe I'll continue visiting, or I will raise my concerns with my other fellow councillors.
Okay, Hina, did you want to come in, or you?
It was just said that it's a public document which can be viewed just before the planning applications are submitted. So
now, my concern, my request is for last.
You've got another question?
This is not my question.
Right. And do you have a question?
I have a question.
Or could you ask the question, please?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. One question.
5-7 years ago, in Rochester State, Southcourt Avenue and Craven Avenue, their pavements or footpaths were repaired. And at that time, I raised a concern that when are you guys going to make the changes or improve the pavement, because they were they are still trip hazards for the young children, adults, and senior members. They said, oh, it will happen. It's never happened. So my request, concern is when it's going to happen. Or if not, then please get it done. It is really a great concern.
Okay, I'm going to take that as casework and pass that to, is it our transport team are over there? I can see hands being raised. Could I ask you, sir, to actually see them before you leave this evening?
Yeah.
And then we'll back it up as councillors, as casework.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Tony, do you have your hand up? Do you have...
Yes, I have two. No, thank you. I have two questions.
Two questions?
Please use the mic, Tony.
When you do the planning,
Please use the mic. Please.
when you do the planning and decide on where you're going to do, I asked the other question, who decides on what road names that you give road names? I want to know where you get your list of names for. The reason I'm asking the question is, where Tesco's is, you've got the pathway by there. I want to know where somebody got the name Reeve Street from and who decided to call it that. Do we ever get any feedback to the local residents to ask them what names they want to call a particular street or road? That's my first question. Can I have an answer to that first? I've got one more afterwards, and add on to something earlier.
Okay, Tony. The answer in terms of Reeve Street,
yeah.
I do not know, to be honest. Usually there is a communication with the council's, what do we call it? The history groups and the what do we call it? Conservation. Yeah. Conservation, to find whether there's historical names or historical relevances, and there should be some consultation with local people. And where that is of course the 1934 original, Ideal Homes estate. So where Western Homes have come up with Reeve, I don't know. I don't think it's the ex-England cricketer, Dermot Reeve.
They name it. Are you saying that the contractor can name it, not us? That's what you're saying.
I don't know what's happened there, but I suspect that is the case, Tony. But I have had that, you've communicated with me on social media, and I'm looking into that.
I want to know the general policy. I have never heard, in all the years I've lived in the town, and as you know, when Eddie was alive, Eddie Mende, we were never ever consulted about any names for any roads in Feltham. So can you explain where you get the names from, and who do you consult as a council? When you go to a local town, who do you consult in that town to say, I've got a new road being built, what name would you like it from? Do you ask general people, or you just pick a name out of a hat? Because I do not know where you will get a name like that from at all.
And neither do I, Tony. Thank you for that. Other than what I've already said, does anyone wish to chip in? Kuldeep Tak.
Chair, as far as I know, if any new building or road is constructed, the officers come up with some suggestions, and the relevant parties, the councillors of the area and the residents of the area are sent the consultation with the suggestions, like which name suits most. I know because when Passer Court was named, which is on Sparrow Farm Drive, I did get a consultation with some suggestions, and they asked me like if I would want to suggest a different name. So a consultation does happen.
So building on what I said, there's that as well, as Kuldeep has just said.
Have you had a consultation? If you're the local council, have you had the consultation?
I have not been asked about Reeve Street or anything on Western Homes. Lilybath.
Well, I was going to say yes, there is generally my experience has been that there is generally a consultation, and as councillors, as Councillor Tuck quite rightly said, we are sort of information is shared about possible names, and which have come out from a consultation. But I think it might be worth finding out, Chair, what happened in this situation so that everybody's clear exactly what the process is. But councillors are informed whether they've got any objections to it or whether they've got any other ideas. Yeah.
Right, the other question I had was a bit of added information to the young people here earlier. We were talking about his history of the town, so you know that whether you're aware or not, the railway is 175 years old this year, and there was a ceremony, as you know, for a plaque. Since that time, the history group and two other groups have been in consultation with South West Trains, We're currently looking at what we're going to do to the station, so when people come to the town, they will have information on various things in our history. I think from memory it's about 15 things they've come up with. South West Train said following our consultation they will fund whatever we need. They will provide probably the boards, the pictures, but that's in the early stages. I'm not going to tell you what we've got to, but we've got a meeting next week and we consult with all the people in the
Is there a
library.
question here, Tony? Or was
Yeah, the question is
announcement?
that's to tell people that there are things going on to do with Feltham Station. If people have said, why did we only do a plaque? Why was it only down that day? It wasn't. There was a follow-up meeting after that through various organisations, and it's now being done. So the question is, if people ask about Feltham Station, why is there no advertising in our town? It's in hand, but it obviously takes time to do these things. Okay? But there's no funding. As far as I know, they are going to fund anything that we come up with. Is that okay?
Yeah, South Western Railway do as a their community officer. He's very
they have
good.
like a community safety officer. All right, sorry.
He's worked extremely hard
Yes.
with
Yeah.
McDonald's. He's worked extremely hard with the Feltham Convening Partnership over creating the new railing on one side of the station to make it safer for people at night to go along there. So that's one example of where they've been very good. The reason why it's not advertised at this point, I don't know. I think that's something we're going to have to ask them, but it should be. I don't know where the link is on that. But it is 175 years. It's a great anniversary, and it's what changed the nature of Feltham from being down there where you live, Tony, to being up here when the railway arrived. So it is absolutely relevant and crucial. Thank you for that.
I'm being waved up by Vijay and Hussein, so you need to choose over there. I can't see who's behind me.
Any more hands? Oh, there's a gentleman over there. The gentleman's sat just here, not Vijay. No, this chap here. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you. My name is Hassan Hussein. I would like to ask you one question, and that question is they have a lot of problem for the housing, and also they have a lot of problem with the homeless people, the people who had a rough sleeping, and people who had a waiting list in housing. But I would like to ask you, do you have any plan for the creating the new shelter for the Feltham area?
Sorry, a new what was that?
New shelter housing. Yeah.
Housing. Do we have any officers from housing here tonight? I don't believe
Unfortunately,
we
they couldn't join us, Councillor.
do. I do know that we have sheltered housing schemes. Bristol Court is the new one in the more recent times, next to Owen House, which has been greatly successful. I believe with an ageing population, those things will be in hand. Are there any I'm missing here that anyone knows from their wards, sheltered housing schemes? Yes, following on from what we said earlier, this is part of the infrastructure that we need with an ageing population. So yes, I can ask Jyoti to make a note of that, to see what we have in plan for anything in the future. But I certainly know the success of Bristol Court, Owen House in the Feltham North Division, which has been hugely successful and really warmly welcomed. So yeah, that is part of the plan, and we'll find a more specific answer to your question, sir. Thank you for that. Any more for any more? The gentleman with his hand up there, it's VJ.
Yeah, I've just come to sort of extend what I was here the other day when the Cabinet were here. So I've just come to extend, after meeting with our guys and the kids and that, just to say thank you to all of you. That's all I'm here to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Just say, listen, you've had a lot of grief off me. All of you, one point or another. But you know it's only for the right reasons. I need to get these kids off the street. But you do get a good battering whenever I come here. Some of the stuff, there are more important things in the world right now. But as I said, I just want to extend what I come to the Cabinet with. I'll be doing the same at Brentford, because these individual councillors have been really decent with us. Lily, always top shelf. Regwinda, Hina, Adish. I've not met that lady. I know that, Mr. Tack.
She's the clerk of the committee. She's not a councillor.
Well, she's more important then. So the rest of them, yeah, I just want to say thank you, especially to Rigwinda and Lily and Adish and Hina, because they've really put themselves out. But that's basically say cheers. Thank you.
Well, thank you, VJ. I'm sure the members around this table will say, well, that's what we're here for, but no, it's credit to the guys who I know have been very committed into things you're interested in and finding responses and outcomes for that. So it's great when that happens. Okay. Any more questions? Are you all going to run away and go to the choir concert, are you? Okay, there's a gentleman at the back with a cap.
I'll stand up so you can see me. I'm a chairman of a local residents association. You may have heard of Berberis House, which is run by First.
Yeah, could you give us your name, sir? Yeah.
My name is Louis Green, and
Louis.
I'm that chairman. And I'm just kind of curious if the council has got any resources or support to help promote our residents association for engagement, not just with our own residents, but with the wider community as well. I've linked up with a few people, like the Feltham Town Council, they're doing something, the West London Chamber of Commerce, and anything else. And I noticed Hounslow do print off a lot of leaflets, and I'm wondering, is there any sort of resources we could access from the council or could apply for that could help with community engagement, and not just with our own one there? Some people may have known that I've already voiced this out to people here, but if it weren't for coming off one of the council, I think editor, I think her name is, I wouldn't have even known this was actually happening today. There's no posters, no notice boards, nothing about this area forum being stuck up, and I couldn't advertise this effectively to our own community because we didn't have a poster. All I could do was to go on the website and do a search for a link for it and find out what was happening. So I'm just like, how do we actually improve the engagement and help with our residents association as well?
Yeah, thank you, Louis, for that. It was leafleted. Parts of the town centre were leafleted, but not Berberis House. Obviously, things were in the library, and it's online. So we are currently working on finding ways of advertising this, be it on social media, be it word of mouth, be it walking around with sandwich boards or placards. And I'm not joking, I'm prepared to do it. I'm the sort of bloke who would. As to the sort of places where the footfall is, where people are going to notice it. But you're right, because we are expanding, because more things are happening and we need more involvement, we need more people to know. Elliot, would you like to come in? And we've got a senior officer of the council here, Elliot Brooks, who might be able to give us some more.
Thanks, thank you, Councillor Mitchell. Firstly, I didn't quite catch, do you know, are you a council estate or a housing association or a private estate, do you know? Private, yeah, okay. So first of all, in terms of promoting the event, obviously, like Councillor Mitchell said, I think there's always better things that we can do and broader reach that we could go for. But in terms of actually accessing resources and assistance around how to maybe get people involved on your estate and get that community engagement, yes is the answer. We can help, and we can help in terms of resources, in terms of people. The council has an engagement team. And the council has a community development team, and both of those teams have a fairly broad remit, but part of their remit is to assist groups of local residents, whether that's grassroots, startups, well-established groups, to see what they can do that help promote different tactics, outreach, etc. But then also what any established and community group can do, they can apply for Thriving Communities funds. So you can apply for small grant, which is up to £1,000. Then they have the revenue grants, which is anything from 1,000 up to 25,000. And we consider proposals around all types of initiatives to increase engagement and building capacity in the community. So Emily Miller is the community development officer for this patch. She'd certainly be able to link you with the right people at the council. But a straight answer is yes, there is help there for you.
And I'd add to that, when I live in the town centre, in a block opposite McDonald's, and we have a WhatsApp group, and I always encourage people when I speak to people in the blocks to form their own WhatsApp groups, their own little groups that then should find a link where they can all feed it, all connect with the council So each block is represented. I believe when you're dealing with A2 Dominion or First Port Management, you're in a lot stronger position when you've got people from several of those blocks putting their weight behind issues that you've got. And I know you've got issues in Berberis, in the 3 or 4 blocks that you've got there within, on the end there, above Dreams. So yeah, that's what I'd add to what Elliot's saying, but you're absolutely right, Louis. And if you do speak to Emily, who'll give you some more information before you go, you can't miss her. She keeps waving. She's got lovely hair. You can see it there. Glowing. She'll give you the information you need. So let's keep this going. Then the microphone died on me. Why was that, VJ? How did that happen? I don't know. The act of gods. Okay, I think that's about it, actually. I don't think there's any more questions. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, for the open forum. But I will ask members, was there a member from Feltham North who wanted to mention Passer Court in the open forum? Just the update. Passer Court, the former social club. Kuldeep Tap, I believe, has a little update for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We did say that we'll have an update for Passer Court in this area forum. It is open. It is ready to be used. For now, we can send our inquiries to the Halls team. Council is working on identifying the best way, or there are groups who have expressed their interest in hiring the hall, but for initial few months, the council will be monitoring its usage and then streamlining the process of hiring it. So if any group or anybody wants to hire it, either they can get in touch with us or the Halls team directly.
Okay, thank you, Kuldeep. Thank you for that update. And probably not before time, I'd say, but great things come to those who wait, Tony. That's true, isn't it? Okay, right. Moving swiftly on. Action plan, item 6. This is an item which I defer to my able deputy, the vice chair of this forum, Councillor Ardesh Farmerham. So Ardesh, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. You may recall that introduced the action plan last area forum with 1 point updated on as an example from each ward. Today, you will hear updates on various points from each ward and councillors. As a reminder, the action plan's purpose is a way of ensuring issues brought at area forums are reviewed and not lost. For example, councillors, the clerk, and community development aim to meet 2-3 weeks after the forum to review minutes, actions, and items which can be added. Some may be quick wins that we can solve in a short time. Sometimes it's connected team with community members for conversations or a longer term item. Base, you can feed into the action plan items, issues raised at the area forum will be considered and noted for actions. Some may be quick responses and can be dealt with and not be required to be added. Some may be part of a longer process and remains on the plan for continual updates. Other things to note, this document is a work in progress. This is a second update, and we will look to review and change the way this is presented to better suits forums moving forward. It allows us to track updates and give responses to the community before the next forum arrive where possible. This is being trailed in other forums like Brentford, and a similar project-based action plan has been successful in Isleworth. Any questions before the area forum arrives, please ask with your chair, Councillor Alan Mitchell, and myself. Thank you.
I believe I'm kicking off the Feltham West. Look at that. None of you can read that, can you? It's all in the small print, I tell you. Right, there you are. Well, I'll kick off with an issue on Waterloo Estate, or the Southern Avenue Estate, as some refer to it. Historically, we've had an issue there with part of it is maintained by highways and part of it is maintained by housing. So when we have people parking irregularly or illegally, it's often difficult to say, well, who do we get in there to sort it out? Now, we have a particular problem on Proctor's Close, which is, I think it's the first on the left when you come down Southern Avenue. And so what's happened so far, because of all the problem with the parking, it means that the community hall, there isn't spaces for people who want to use it to park, which rather defeats the object. So there are currently discussions and requests for a costing of a gate, possibly a short-term measure, but certainly one we need, which would allow the community centre to have its own allocation of parking teams, own allocation of parking. Teams will look to assess the budget for this or consider outside funding where possible. There is also a request for a disabled bay to support the community centre. Now, at present, without a full CPZ consultation, which I remember taking part in 2015, which was previously declined by residents on a very low turnout, process to change the land ownership, this is the best positive outcome for this space in the short term, we believe. Parking enforcement continues to enforce in this space. The parking enforcement team, Serco, have now ended their contract, and a new company, NSL, are in place. We'll continue to raise this with traffic and the NSL team for parking enforcement support in this street and the surrounding streets, which we are aware are experiencing parking issues. And of course, beyond that, with new residents coming in near the station and on Franktel Court, we have to be alert to this because there will be extra vehicles. So let's make sure we find the best home for them and support our community centre so that people who go there by car can actually park in it, because at the moment it's a bit mad. And I believe I now, Vice Chair, I'll now pass over to Councillor Racine. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Chair, and I am actually delighted to provide an update on High Street engagement. As an area, this resonates strongly with both residents and myself as a councillor for Feltham West. My update is in two main parts. The first concerns community safety updates. So area-based meetings were held by Safer Communities, and they strongly focused on the High Street area. We keep extending the network of partners, including governmental and private organisations, which include housing associations such as A2 Dominion, Peabody, Hounslow Housing, and managing agents such as First Port. The enforcement team in the west of the borough has now embedded itself within the following estates. These are Hunter House, Belvedere House, and the Oriel Estate. Being based in Feltham has proved that we are able to respond to call-outs from our residents a lot quicker, and we are also able to forge better relationships with our residents and the local community. We are also working closely with Safer Businesses Hounslow on engaging local businesses to promote Safer Businesses scheme and good practices. And also adolescent services, which carries an extra outreach on the high street. Officers are linked with neighbourhood enforcement team and the local youth groups, so they can direct young people to the clubs and activities available in the area or provide specialist support if it is needed. It's all about early intervention and recognising where the support is needed. We have become more involved with our youth outreach provisions, as well as Rise and Shine. Volunteers and staff have also been involved with the community safety initiative on the Feltham High Street. But we have to understand that this is just the beginning. There are plans to connect with youth we find during our patrols of the housing estates to the outreach teams which operate from Belvedere House during the week. The neighbourhood enforcement team have increased the patrols CCTV and monitoring both Belvedere House and Hunter House more regularly. And this came from our engagement with our residents. It's something that they raised to us, so we took that on board.
Yeah, Maddie, can I just let Hina come in with a bit on that as well?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Hina, you're with us? And by the way, folks, this all ties in with item 3 with the young people and on the community safety item. It's interesting how all this links, isn't it? There's a lot going on. Hina, thank you.
Right. Also, we are currently supporting and signposting rough sleepers to services which seek to reduce the numbers and, more importantly, support our residents in feeling safe at all times. We have advised residents to get in touch with the enforcement team should they become aware of any rough sleepers in the blocks. The neighbourhood enforcement team has actively participated with Community Solutions and were attending the hub based at Feltham Assembly Hall on Tuesday. This is a great initiative, making it easier for residents to meet officers and log real-time complaints. This also bolsters our One Hounslow approach.
Councillor Alan Baker.
I've already spoken, so I will pass over to Samina. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Actually, thank you so much. I'm happy to give the updates what we have been done about the action plan. I just would discuss about the highways and roads. Myself and Councillor Akram met with the Hounslow Highway teams at the public footway contract teams with this month. We visited the prominent areas of Feltham North, including the drive and the Sparrow Farm Drive, to assess potholes and road maintenance following several members' requests for teams to support improvements in this area. The highlighted roads are noted in the action plan. Plan were also checked by the Jason from Hounslow Highways. Hounslow Highways have reported the check potholes and road maintenance on a monthly basis. Areas not on High Street is Hounslow will have a 75 mm threshold for repair. All requests should be logged on Fix My Street and will be looked at. Please be aware, it is not a requirement to update on a Fix My Street request, and a completed notification could mean work are still to be done. Any issues can be raised, please, with us, your local councillors. Thank you. Sorry, my voice is a bit sore throat. Sorry for anything.
Thank you, Councillor Nagra. Councillor Tuck, please.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm going to give an update on the cricket pitch, which is supposed to be in the Feltham Parks. A funding from England and Wales Cricket Board and London Cricket Trust is secured, so we are on course for that. We are trying to identify an optimal space for where this cricket asset can be located within the park. To this end, Josh Bleasby from Council, from the Parks team, has commissioned a lead consultant to review the original Parks master plan vision. The master plan vision, the original one, only provides a conceptualized design of the themes or ideas. The lead consultant will develop a concept design to one that is specially coordinated to ensure that the cricket asset is located in the right place. Once this is determined, the work to implement this cricket strip and etc. can commence. The lead consultant has only just been commissioned, so we expect the location to be identified in next year, and the Parks team will update us in early next year.
Thank you, Councillor Truck. Now, Councillor Akram, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I would like to update the information regarding the Beber Bridge. As consultant, Phil Fritzman was appointed in summer 2023 to undertake feasibility and the design work for the new bridge structure to the create a production and the cycle route at the Beber Bridge parallel to the Stain Road on the northern side of the road. Since then, a range of the investigatory work have been completed, including ecological and the structure surveys. Further surveys lessons by the Environment Agency are currently being planned. We aim on the Thank you. We aim on the course to complete feasibility work in the spring 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Akram. Now, Councillor Bedfont Ward, Councillor Lilibar.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm going to update you on Hatton Road. So we've had quite a few complaints over the last few months around traffic on Hatton Road opposite the sports ground when there's sporting events taking place. So we did the local ward councillors and officers did a ward walk, and we have agreed to have some waiting restrictions put on Hatton Road, which are, you'll be pleased to know, programmed to be delivered, implemented by the end of next week. I do have here a little note saying weather permitting, so I don't know what that means, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed at the end of next week that we will have proper waiting restrictions. So hopefully that will solve that problem with traffic around football events days. I've also got a little note to say there were some issues around the sewer on Hatton Road, and there has been the application, an application for a permit for Thames Water to do the clearing has actually been granted, so hopefully that will be resolved as well. So hopefully we don't need to talk about these again, but let's see. Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for updating the Hatton Road's position. Yeah. Now, Councillor Sidhu, please.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to give good news. Bedfont was invaded by travellers again, but because of the work done by the council, they were evicted same day, and there was no. Thank you. Brilliant work done by Lambton, and we are safe now. So update on Grove Village. Grove Village is, we are having trouble from many years in that part, and with the help of Emily and Aditya, we are on right track. So community safety team and enforcement and some officers from housing, we had a meeting there, and we moved forward to stop fly tipping and antisocial behavior in that space. It will take time because some of the areas are like no man lands. We're trying to identify who are responsible for that land, especially car park near the surgery. So we are working on that and moving forward. Safer Community will add this case on monthly basis and try to have a monthly meeting with the professionals of the council and trusted partners, and will update the progress every month. The local police are aware about the drugs problem around that area, and the recent litter problem near the medical center, which will be monitored, and reports and local residents are encouraged to work with the police and with the community. And finally, councillors and community officers have reached local groups, and we are trying to create a greenery project around that area. And we have our councillor funding available, so any community group want to work with that funding to make that area green, so we will be welcome to come on board and discuss. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sidhu, updating the travellers. So that's the good news, they've been evicted. Now over to Councillor Mitchell.
Thank you, Adesh, for action plan. You can see, folks, as Adesh said, how you can feed into this. It's a rolling programme. It means that councillors take ownership of issues and we can drive them forward with officers. So it's a better connection for you as residents, knowing that we're doing this rather than haphazardly stabbing in the dark. And I think it's working quite well. And of course, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. In 3 months' time, let's see where we are with these issues and what other ones come to our attention. So, Adesh, thank you very much indeed. And that ends the action plan item. which means we now move on to item number 7. Any other business that the chair considers urgent? I haven't been made aware of anything. I don't know whether members have been made aware of anything that they'd like to bring at this late stage, other than to say, do all enjoy yourselves and have a wonderful Christmas. But the next meeting of this forum will be on the 14th of March next year, so in 3 months' time to the day. How exciting is that? We've certainly got that on the quarterly, haven't we, Tony? Tony's enjoying that. Yes, we made sure we nailed that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, officers of the council, members, thank you so much on a cold evening for coming out 11 days before Christmas. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let's continue to work. Let's make our town and our West area better. If we work together, we achieve it. Teamwork makes the dream work, as I'm told. And as Councillor Barty, who has joined us from Hounslow, nods along, it's something that he would encourage us all to do. So, everyone, have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you for coming. And let's keep making our town better. Thank you.